Hey, in this video, we're going to go over, as you see on the screen here, the Illinois Association of Realtors disclosure of information and acknowledgement of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards. So this is, we call it the lead-based paint disclosure in the industry. And so I'm going to go about this video two ways. One is as a listing agent, how do you fill this out? Like, what does it mean? One, how do you fill it out? And then on the flip side, it's going to be like, okay, hey, say I'm a buyer's agent. How do I fill this out? Like, what do I need to tell my buyers about this form? So what this form says is that to read this to you, hate reading to you, but that's why you're here on this one. Hey, as a quick introduction, my name is Tony Anczer, real estate agent serving Illinois and Indiana. I am with eXp Realty, and I'm inside the agent Wolfpack. If you don't know about us, you could do a quick Google search to find lots of cool stuff. And anyway, if you're interested in this type of training, and even more so, the Agent Wolfpack, you can learn more about us at agentwolfpackgroup.com is my landing page, and you can book an appointment to talk directly to me about our group. It's a group that's free, and we have tons of value. You can see this landing page here. This is my upline, Mike Sherrard. You may know him from all social media training. And so you get our value stack plus eXp's value stack if you were to partner with us. So take a look there, and you can book a call or call me directly to discuss further. So lead warning statement: every purchaser of any interest in residential real property in which a dwelling was built prior to 1978 is notified that such property may present exposure to lead from lead-based paint that may place young children at risk of developing lead poisoning. So again, we see it's only for houses built before 1978. Lead poisoning in young children may produce permanent neurological damage, including learning disabilities, reduced intelligent quotient, behavioral problems, and impaired memory. Lead poisoning also poses a particular risk to pregnant women. The seller of any interest in residential real property is required to provide the buyer with any information on lead-based paint hazards from risk assessments or inspections in the seller's possession, and notify the buyer of any known lead-based paint hazards. A risk assessment or inspection for possible lead-based paint hazards is recommended prior to purchase. So this just is a lot of words to notify a buyer that, hey, this house was built before 1978, so there may be lead in the property, and so you have the right to do your due diligence to check for lead. And so in here, I'm going to switch to DigiSign here. So this is like if I was a listing agent filling this out. So I already populated this. These are my caricatures here. The sellers are Willie Reynolds and Sherry Bond, and then I put my name in here so I can write text. This is the same form, just in DigiSign. So I'm going to get going here and filling out this information. So in DigiSign. So what this is, I'll go through it first, and just so we fill in property address. That's pretty simple. You just write in the property address that you're selling. Seller's disclosure. So what you're going to have to do is they're going to have to initial both these lines, and then we fill in the box that applies. So first we see presence of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards with a check one, that there are either known lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards are present in the housing. So explain. So that's if the seller does know. I've never had that happen, that a seller knows that they have lead. If you do have some sort of records, that's where you would check this box, and then you'd include that information here. You can include an attachment if you needed to. You could say like see attached test about something or another. And then the second one here is seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. And again, that's where all my sellers have checked the box that just says that, hey, they're not guaranteeing there's not lead in the house, but they just don't have any knowledge of it being in there. So they have to initial this, both sellers, and then you have to check one of these boxes. And then that's the same process for B here. So this reads, records and reports available to seller, check one below. Here we go. Seller has provided the purchaser with all available records and reports pertaining to the lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. List documents below. List your documents. Okay, up here is like just if you've known. Do you know of it? And then section is, do you have records of? I've never had a seller produce this in like commercial space. I've seen that happen. A lead remediation project will happen, so you'll have information, but usually in residential there's not. Their sellers don't have it. So then the seller, if you don't have any information, you would check this box that says seller has no reports or records pertaining to lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. The seller's initial on this line and check this box. And then from the listing side, you don't have to worry about this section right now, but I'll go through what it is. So purchasers, acknowledgement, initial. So they have to initial all of these. It says one is purchaser has received copies of all information listed above. This D here is purchaser has received the pamphlet Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home, of which you can Google that and get that from EPA's website or real easily. And then on E, purchaser has, check one below, either received the 10-day opportunity or mutually agreed upon period to conduct a risk assessment or inspection of the presence of lead-based paint or lead-based hazards. So per Illinois law, you have a 10-day opportunity, a due diligence time, or you can agree to a different timeline to do your lead-based paint due diligence research on the home. Or this is most likely what's checked, is waive the opportunity to conduct a risk assessment or inspection for the presence of lead-based paint and or lead-based paint hazards. So this is pretty much the box that strong majority of my transactions, the purchaser will check this box. So they have to initial all three of these, both buyers, however many buyers there are, and they have to check one of these. And then agent's acknowledgement, so that would be the listing agent, which the agent has informed the seller of the seller's obligations under this code and is aware of his or her responsibility to ensure compliance. So that's, as a listing agent, you check that box after you've done your due diligence here. And then certification of accuracy, and this is where everybody signs off on that. So to fill this out quickly, we would enter text field. Okay, so the first one, I just typed in the property address, and now I'm going to fill out this section. You can see me do that, and then I'll talk through it again one more time. Okay, so you can see here that I typed in the initials with the initial box for both sellers, and then I, under my profile, check the checkbox. You have to do your own profile, otherwise it's going to send to them as unchecked and they have to check it in, and that always messes up. So just collect this information and then you can check those boxes for them to initial. Now purchasers, we don't have to fill anything out there. Now so we get to agent's acknowledgement. So agent acknowledgement, that's me. I'm going to initial, that's going to come here. And then we just fill this out as this shows here. So seller, we just go to signature. So signature, fill that in. Date, fill that in. That's for seller 1. Seller 2, signature, date. And then agent, which is you as a listing agent, signature here, and then date. Okay, so that's all you have to do to fill it out for the listing side. So we got this filled out, and then what I would do in DigiSign here is I'd hit send. 23 Main Street, lead-based paint disclosure for signature. Something like, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Attached is the lead-based paint disclosure. Please review and sign. Thanks. Tell me that's myself. Let me have it. If they have any questions, they can reach out. So cool. And then after that, I would click send for signatures. I do that, but it's going to go to my fake accounts. So then they'll get the DigiSign in their email for them to then sign, and then it gets routed right back to you. So okay, so that's that. So that wraps up what you do on the listing side to process a lead-based paint disclosure. So now let's flip this around and say that you are a buyer's agent. So you're representing a buyer that wants to put an offer on a house, and in Illinois you have to include the lead-based paint disclosure in your offer back to them. Okay, so what I have queued up here, this is actually from a listing in Hinsdale that's on the market currently. So I pulled a real one so you can see what it looks like in real practice. It looks the same as what you're putting together, but there's the address here. We see that the seller has initialed these two boxes, or these two lines. They checked these boxes. The agent initialed here, and then everybody signed. Looks the sellers really should have initialed here, but they didn't. It's kind of a minor item. Can get cleaned up in attorney review. So now what we will do is we will go through the process of, again, I got my buyer's agent hat on and I need my buyer to sign this. I'll go into how we fill this out. Okay, so I got my DigiSign open. I'm going to click new envelope. I don't have a property saved for this one yet. So then I would take that lead-based paint disclosure and drop it right in. Click next, and then I'm going to queue up the buyers. I'm going to use the same people just for the sake of ease on this one. I'm going to pretend that these are my buyers now. Okay, so now in DigiSign, I got this queued up. I've got the two buyers, in this case, Willie Reynolds and Sherry Bond, and then also myself, because I'm gonna need to sign this. So we list everybody that needs to take action on this. So we have, so it's the same form, it just was just filled out. So now, again, I got my buyer's hat on. So we see the listing side already filled that out. So I'm going to drop boxes here. So both the buyers need to initial all these lines. So I'm gonna initial. So there's Willie, initial, and then we're gonna go to Sherry, and we're gonna have Sherry initial, and then we have to check the box here of, I'm gonna do waive the opportunity. Either one really works, but waive just kind of cleans things up a little better. So checkbox, putting my contact there, that way I can edit this right now. And then purchasers, so now my buyers sign and date, and then I sign and date. So we will go through that Willie signature right here, and date, and then Sherry, we're going to get her signature, and then date, and then agent, which is me, signature, and then date. So then we would go to send, and this would be the same thing. I just put a text here like the address, 123 Main Street, Hinsdale, lead-based paint disclosure, for signature, and then I would type a very similar message here like hello Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Attached is the lead-based paint disclosure form. Please review and sign. Thanks. And that's what's up. Okay, so then I would click send. It would go to their email inboxes, and they can sign it directly in DigiSign. And then that's pretty much it. Now I do just want to point out that you wouldn't send the lead-based paint disclosure by itself. Usually it would be in the entire offer package, and we've got another video going through entire offer packages, but just wanted to go through the process here.